Lightspeed Spanish, podcast number 6 for absolute beginners, and this is Handy Questions. Hola, Cynthia, ¿qué tal?
Muy bien, Gordon, ¿cómo estás tú?
Hoy estoy muy bien, muy bien. ¿Y
Qué
tú?
bien. Yo, de puta madre.
Okay, muy bien. Moving on. Okay, so we're looking at handy questions. What do we mean by handy questions? Things like asking people, well, where do you live, or where are you from? Talking about work, what do you do? Yeah. For example, asking people if they have family or if they have pets, things like that. So really, just basic, very early conversation questions. The ones that don't demand a massive answer. Yeah. You okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, where should we start? Where do you live? Cynthia, how do you say that?
¿Dónde vives?
Donde vives. Ah, okay. Now, you've just done the verb conjugation with the previous podcast, yeah? So, you know when you're saying donde vives and you've got an S on, that means you. One person. Donde vives. Yeah? What would be the answer to that then?
Vivo en... and then
Okay.
your place.
So, vivo, talking about yourself, I live in. And the Spanish word for in is en, so that's nice and straightforward, isn't it?
On is en.
On is en and
In is en.
So, there you are.
Why not?
Uh-huh. So,
Gordon, ¿dónde vives?
vivo en Newton Aycliffe.
Ah,
¿Y tú? ¿Dónde vives?
yo también.
Wow.
Qué coincidencia.
See? See? Okay. So that's where do you live? Okay. Obviously, you know, you take your time in asking that. You don't just walk up to somebody in the street and say, where do you live? ¿Dónde vives tú? No?
It would be worse. I know where you live.
And I know your parents. Okay. Next one, where are you from? Obviously, where we live and where we're from isn't always the same, is it? So how do you say where are you from?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres? Okay, so where are you from? Basically, that sentence goes from where you are. Yeah. And the answer is?
There are two answers.
Mm-hmm.
You can say, I am, right, in your case, for example.
Sure.
You could say, I am English,
Mm-hmm.
soy inglés, or soy inglesa,
Mm-hmm. If you're a woman.
If you're a woman. Or, I am from England,
Mm-hmm.
soy de Inglaterra.
Soy de Inglaterra. Okay, now the word soy is I am. And it's an I am permanent type of I am. And the way that I used to remember that was I am a bottle of soy sauce. Okay? So imagine you're a bottle of soy sauce, that's how we say I am. I am a bottle of soy sauce. Soy de Inglaterra. Y vale, okay, so let's try out. Cynthia, ¿de dónde eres?
Soy de España.
De España.
Sí.
Ah,
De Madrid.
de Madrid.
¿Y tú?
Yo soy de South Shields.
No. Tú eres de otro pueblo.
I was born in Jarrow, but I'm from South Shields. That's where I lived. Okay, there's nothing wrong with if you're from Jarrow. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay, I'm just from South Shields. Soy de South Shields. Nací en Jarrow. Vale.
Muy bien.
Okay, so there you are. So we've got ¿Dónde vives? Vivo en wherever you live. And ¿de dónde eres? ¿Soy inglés o soy de Inglaterra? Yeah.
O soy inglesa.
O soy inglesa, if you're a woman.
I would say soy española,
Okay.
because I'm a woman.
Yeah.
But if I was a man, I would say soy español.
Mm-hmm. And that's what they sing in the football. Okay. We'll do that song later on. Okay. And then next one, Cynthia. Now, when we ask people about the work, okay, the typical question is, what do you do? Okay. Normally, what do you do? And then missing for work. What do you do for work? There are various ways that you can ask that in Spanish.
Three
ways. One of them is easy peasy. One of them's okay, and one of them is very hard to say, especially if you've had a couple of beers. If you've had a couple of beers, it is. I'm speaking from experience. Okay, so the first one, the easy one, what's that one?
The easy one is ¿qué haces? ¿Qué haces?
¿Qué haces? And that's from the, you can hear the S on the end? That's what you do. ¿Qué haces is from the verb hacer, to do. So basically, what do you do? The only thing I find with that question is sometimes, depending on the circumstance, it could be misperceived. It's not just what do you do for work, but what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? So it's a one that's handy. ¿Qué haces? Easy. But there are better ones, I think.
The hard ones, huh?
The slightly harder one now.
Okay, we have two more.
Mm-hmm.
You can say ¿en qué trabajas? ¿En qué trabajas?
¿En qué trabajas? In what do you work? In what you work, so. ¿En qué trabajas? Now that's a nice one, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Nice and straightforward. What do you work in, yeah?
And number three.
And number three, this is a great one.
¿A qué te dedicas?
See the rhythm. ¿A qué te dedicas? To what do you dedicate yourself, basically? Which is a bit more appropriate if you were talking to somebody who clearly doesn't work. Okay? ¿A qué te dedicas? Okay, but it is a bit of a mouthful. So, ¿en qué trabajas? Probably easier. Now the answer to this is, we've already used the word soy, okay? And here it comes again, I am whatever it is that you are. So, Cynthia, ¿a qué te dedicas?
Soy profesora de español. ¿Y tú? ¿En qué trabajas?
Yo soy profesor de español también.
¿Cuántas coincidencias hoy, Gordon?
Joder, qué sorpresa. Okay, so what you need to do is to look for what it is that you do, whether you work, or if you're a housewife, or if you're a student, or if you're retired. So there are different ways of saying each particular profession. If you look in the vocab, you'll find some vocab on professions as well. Okay. Okay, so there we are. So, ¿en qué trabajas? ¿A qué te dedicas? ¿Qué haces? Soy whatever. Yeah?
Muy bien.
Okay. What's next?
¿Tienes familia?
Do you have family? ¿Tienes familia? So that's a nice one. Obviously, you need to know family members, it's true, so you'll have to have a look at the vocabulary for that as well. But family members, ¿tienes familia? If somebody said that to you, Cynthia, ¿tienes familia? Do you have family? What typically are you going to be answering? Who are you going to be talking about? Your immediate family?
Well, it seems to me that you're asking if I've got children.
Okay.
If you said ¿tienes familia?
Mm-hmm.
But it could be, I could say, sí, tengo familia. Tengo a mis padres, tengo a mi hermana.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so padres, hermana.
¿Y tú? ¿Tienes familia?
Sí, tengo familia. Tengo 2 hijos, tengo mis padres y tengo 3 hermanos. Mm-hmm.
Muy bien.
So,
Tengo.
Now, tengo comes from the verb tener, okay, to have. Now, you've noticed that, you might have noticed, if you haven't, you are now, that tengo, it should be teno, okay, because it's tener, so following the rule, we take the ER off and add O, teno, but it's not, it's tengo. The reason is because it's irregular, okay, and there's another podcast that's going to be dealing with irregular verbs, but tengo, it's nice. The way to remember it is, I have tengos. I have tengos. Tengo. Or for the children, I have a can of tango. I have a tango. Tengo.
Bien.
Okay. So next one is, do you have hobbies? Okay, and this is the last one. Do you have hobbies? And it's...
¿Tienes pasatiempos?
Tienes pasatiempos. Pasatiempos, pastimes. Yeah? Also in Spain they do say hobbies now as well, don't
Sí,
they? Yeah?
hobbies.
Tienes pasatiempos. And then all you need to do is look for the verb that describes what you do and change it into I do. For example, leo, or corro, or nado, or whatever.
Or if you play sports, it would be juego al fútbol, por ejemplo. Juego al squash.
Al squash.
Juego
And
al tenis.
jugar, the verb to play, is irregular. You probably noticed it because it's juego. It isn't jugo. Okay, brilliant. So they're the simple questions. We have no more time.
Okay.
So I hope that's been valuable, and extra information will be in the help sheets as well, and all the information that we've talked about as well. Okay, bueno, nos vamos. Adiós.
Hasta luego.